class is in memory of Jared Orchen, and today we're going to learn the Haftorah of the first day of Shavuot. Shavuot is coming up. Next Tuesday night is Shavuot. We will actually obviously not have a class. Then what could be a better time to learn the Haftorah of Shavuot than the week before? 13:13 in these books. It's the Haftorah of Shavuot is the first chapter of the book of Ezekiel. Ezekiel was a prophet when?
It was in the Babylonian exile. He was one of the first group to be exiled to Babylon.
And before the destruction of the first temple. A few years before the destruction of the first temple. And Ezekiel was the only prophet who prophesied outside of Israel. Right? Ezekiel was one of the three greatest prophets. Jeremiah, Isaiah, and Ezekiel. That are the three big ones. Now, Ezekiel tells us about a prophecy. He prophesied outside of Israel. How we know that usually you don't get prophecy outside of Israel? How we know that?
Well, it seems none of the other prophets did. I mean, especially Jonah.
Oh, Jonah tried to run away from God. What means he tried to run away from God? Can you run away from God? Didn't King David says, "Ana mipanecha evrach"? How can I run away from your face, from you? Can you away from God? You go up, you go. God is everywhere. What Jonah? Was he a child? But Jonah said, God prophesies only in Israel. I'll leave the country. I will not hear any prophecy. That was the logic behind is going to Jaffa, hiring a boat, and trying to run away. Didn't help him, right? But at least from there we learn the concept. And how is Ezekiel was prophesying in the diaspora?
He started his prophecy in Israel and then carried over.
It's because he started his prophecy in Israel and continued the prophecy outside of Israel. It's based on the third line from this Haftorah. The language is Ayo Aya Dvar Hashem. Was the word of God to Yechezkel, the son of Buzi, the Kohen. What means Ayo Aya? Ayo Aya means it was already. Because it was Aya, it was before, therefore it continues. But you know what? It's like a little. What lays behind it? What means because it was before. It's like we found almost like a technical reason. Because it was before, and if not, I mean, could he prophesy outside of Israel according to prophet? What's going on here? So what do you think? What changed by Ezekiel that he got prophecy outside of Israel? The other ones
because there were more Jews in Babylon.
Oh. Yeah, God prophesied only in Israel. You know when? When the Jews were in Israel. When the Jews move,
God goes with them.
God goes with them. When all your children live in Columbus, you move to Columbus. Now the problem is one child lives here, the other child lives there. Then they know what to do. But if all your kids would move to Israel, and they got married and live in Israel, you move to Israel. There's no question about it. Why is it in this physical world like this? Because it's the reflection of the spiritual world. Because in the spiritual world it's like this. God moved wherever the Jewish people moved.
His children.
His children moved. Then the expression in Yiddish is the Shechina and the whole pekel and the whole package moved. Shechina is not in Israel. Wrong. Wherever the Jews go, the Shechina goes with them. And as the Talmud says, Kol mokim shegalu Israel, wherever the Jews were exiled, Shechina imoim, the Shechina is with them.
We see that in this parsha with the chariot, right? God's riding in the chariot and he's following the Jews in exile.
The Haftorah, you mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. The biggest question about the first, no, Ezekiel. Well, let's lead us to the whole Haftorah, this logic that God moved wherever the Jews are. Question is, the first, there is a famous Talmudic statement that the rabbis wanted to not to include the book of Ezekiel in the Bible. Why not?
Ezekiel's a problem for a couple of reasons. First of all, when they were building the second temple, chapters 40 to 48 really didn't, according to most, comply with the second temple, except for the one guy.
It means they didn't know how to follow it.
Yeah.
That's one problem. Ezekiel wrote a description how to build the next temple. When it came to actuality, they couldn't follow it. It was too what? What was the problem? It was contradicting the Bible. And that's a bigger problem. For example, it's written you should offer a sacrifice every day, once a day. In the Torah it's written twice a day. And many, many, many more. That's one reason why the rabbis wanted to get it out of the way. But the second reason is that chapter 1 of the book of Ezekiel. Chapter 1 speaks about
The
chariot. What's the chariot of God? Maaseh Merkava describes God. Now the Talmud in Chagiga says a person should not learn even by himself these chapters, because he might understand them the wrong way and might get confused and might go the wrong direction. Like whom?
JC.
JC.
JC does not know anything. Who is the real thing? He's not even in the book. We don't count him.
Oh, that jeez.
Who is the really one who who went the wrong way?
Elisha ben Abuya.
Elisha ben Avuya. Elisha ben Avuya was a rabbi who went and tried to understand God. He went so much and drove himself so crazy that he became an heretic. Talmud brings the story. 4 people entered the Pardes. The orchard means the spiritual, mystical side of God. One was Rabbi Akiva. He survived. Survived is a matter of opinion, but survived. That's what Talmud says, he survived. Ben Azai. What happened to Ben Azai?
The one that went crazy.
I think he was good. Ben Zoma. One died, one went crazy, and one became an heretic. It's Elisha ben Avuya. Rabbi Akiva came out in peace. Why? The Talmud says because he entered in peace. What means he entered in peace? He entered with the commitment that this is it. If I understand or not, nothing will change. Understand? A Jew must have this commitment that this is what life, that's what Hashem wants from us. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't make sense. I'll stick to it. How the Jews in the Holocaust came out from the Holocaust and still stayed religious, believing in God, because that is commitment, no matter what. It doesn't make sense, but I'm still Jewish.
Was it a little bit like the 2 sons that died? They went too far
that's
up?
different. That's a little bit, but not the same. No.
Here's a hypothetical for you. If Maimonides had been with them, do you think he would have survived?
Yes. Maimonides was a very strong person of commitment. Not for nothing he became Maimonides.
Mm-hmm.
But Elisha ben Abuya was not a child, yeah. Then we should not, that's why the Talmud says we should not dig too deep. Ezekiel in his first chapter describes a revelation of God. What he saw. That's one of the reasons why the rabbis wanted to...
That's interesting. We have similar visions in Isaiah and Jeremiah as well.
We'll get to Isaiah.
It's in the Saturday morning prayer a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll get to
Daniel
it.
as well. I mean, these are very similar types of visions in that
Daniel?
sense. Yeah.
I don't know about that. Which is Daniel? But let's take it one thing at a time. Then Ezekiel, they wanted to close it, to not to include it. Obviously, came a rabbi. What was his name? Was said he gave a commentary to the whole book of Ezekiel.
Yeah, I forget who it was.
I forgot what his name, but a rabbi said, and he saved the book, so to speak. Not only then, we have a book. It doesn't mean we have to read it in the Haftorah. That's why we made it Haftorah. If the Talmud says nobody should learn Maaseh Merkava, the chariots of God, you take it to the Haftorah, to the regular shuls. Every schlepper comes to shul and you will learn this. What's going to be? And there is an argument in the Talmud. Should it be a part of the Haftorah or not? The majority opinion says no, and Rabbi Yehuda says you're allowed to, and the halacha is that you do. That on one hand you say, don't dig into it. Otherwise you can get up on the shul, and the bima and somebody's reading it. Obviously you can read it in English too. Obviously you can learn it. So what's the answer for it? Why we do it?
Yeah, you typically got the guidance of rabbis on a major holiday like this. So.
Then,
Is it like the curses? There's a blessing behind everything?
it's
Deeper meaning?
not just the opposite. Here we say you shouldn't look for the deeper meanings. You should learn out only on the surface. There is a similar question in the book of Maimonides itself, talking about Maimonides. Maimonides starts his book, his monumental book, it's called Mishneh Torah. Yad HaChazaka, it's called also. Basically, he has 14 books that he covers all Jewish law, everything. Literally from A to Z. He's the only codifier who covers old law, even law that are not practiced today. The Shulchan Aruch, the regular code of Jewish law that every Jew lives by, is only about laws that are applied today, that are practical today. Laws after the destruction of the temple. There is no laws how to offer sacrifices, because it's not practical. You can write about it. The only one who wrote laws about everything, for example, about leprosy. You need laws about leprosy today, tell me. You know, but leprosy is not practiced today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sacrifices, purity and impurity that all connects to Israel, most of the laws.
He did the 613 then.
He did everything, yeah, but not just a list of 613 mitzvahs, all the details. And that's why we have Chabad have accustomed to learn every day 3 chapters of the book of Maimonides. Over the year we finished the whole book. That now we learn the laws of leprosy. How the stains, how we decide if somebody has leprosy. Such complicated laws. You can go crazy by them. It has to be a certain stain, and if in the stain there is ear inside, then the hint, it's white ear, green ear, red ear, black ear. Oh, how long are the hair? Two little ears, 3. It doesn't end. Details upon details upon details. Only Maimonides decides it. That how Maimonides starts his book, the foundation of all foundations, and the knowledge of the foundation of all knowledge is to know that God is the only God. And he goes on 2 chapters to describe kind of the chariot, angels and God. Then he goes another 2 chapters and speaks about the creation of the world. By the end of the 4 chapters, he writes like this: a person should not learn that. Only when you're full with bread, with Torah, and with Talmud, and all other things, then you should touch it. Then the question is, you tell me that by the end of the 4th chapter, you write everything about that, then by the end of the 4th chapter, by the way, if you're not a scholar, don't learn this. You have to write a disclaimer before you started the 1st chapter. And more than that, I would put the 4 chapters in the back. What you said, that after I know everything, then I should learn about the creation of the world, about the chariot of God. Then put it in the book by the end, after I know everything, the last 2 chapters. It begins with this, and by the way, he ends with the chapters about Moshiach. Then the Rebbe asks this question. I'm not such a smart man. The Rebbe asks this question. And the Rebbe asks, what does this mean? He said, he writes it, then he says, don't learn it. The Rebbe said like this. In the language that my mind is he says, he said, it's called the orchard. He says, nobody should take a walk in the orchard until he's not full of Talmud. The Rebbe said, to take a walk in the orchard, you're not allowed. But to learn the basics, the 2 chapters, this is the tip of the finger. That's really know that it exists. This you can learn, nothing will happen to you. Going deep and dedicating your life for this, then you might lose it. You need to learn all the Torah. But to know the concept, that's for sure is allowed. The same thing is there. Ezekiel writes 1 chapter. Elisha, you don't become an Elisha ben Avuya from learning this chapter in Ezekiel. I promise you. You learn it, you read it in the synagogue. you'll at least know there are things that you don't know. People think they know everything. You read this and you say, you know what? I know nothing.
It's true.
And that's the good part about it. The knowing that you don't know is also very important. And that's why this chapter is written here, and we're supposed to read it and learn it, and it will not hurt us. Then that's why Ezekiel started with this chapter. And that's why we learn. Now, there is another interesting thing. You mentioned before Isaiah. Ezekiel describes here that he saw God. And how God looks like. And not the details. Isaiah also said it. Why we read it on Shavuot? That's the first question. Why we read this Haftorah about Shavuot, about seeing God on Shavuot?
Because basically God showed himself.
Revealed himself at Mount Sinai.
Right.
Beautiful. Because you read in the parasha, they read in the Torah about the revelation of Sinai, we read about the revelation of God. God, so to speak, came with this chariot, opened his own, and the Jews saw at Mount Sinai what Ezekiel saw in a vision, they saw in reality. For the same reason, we read the story of Isaiah where Isaiah saw God. When we read it? No.
It's in chapter 6, right?
When we read it as Haftorah,
Oh, I'm trying to remember. It's early.
when would make sense to read it?
Coming up on the High Holidays, no?
He got in
it's
trouble, though.
Ten Commandments, right?
When we
Didn't
read the Ten Commandments.
he got in trouble.
In the Jethro Haftorah. The Jethro Haftorah is the revelation of Isaiah. If you open on page 11:16, 11:15, 11:15. And we are actually going to read the first paragraph of this chapter, of the Haftorah from Jethro, and then we'll go to our Haftorah. Go ahead.
In the year of King Uzziah's death, I saw God sitting upon the high and lofty
I saw
throne.
God! Can you say you saw God? I can't.
Nope.
Go ahead.
And his train filled the temple. The seraphim stood above him. Each had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And one called to another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of
Kadosh,
hosts.
Kadosh, Kadosh, Hashem Tzvaot, Melech Chol Haaretz Kudai. Remember that, right?
Go up on your toes, yes.
Right? That's Go ahead.
The whole earth is full of his glory. The post of the door shook, and the voice of him who called, and the house was filled with smoke.
This is it. This is the whole piece of the vision. Short vision.
That's right, with the cold.
Ezekiel goes on a long thing, details upon details upon details. Then the Talmud is asking, what's the difference in Isaiah, who said it in short, and Ezekiel, who said it in long. The Talmud brings an amazing metaphor. He says, Isaiah was like the city boy who saw God. Ezekiel is the villager who saw God. What's the difference? If you live in Washington, D.C., let's say, if you, in the good old days, people saw the president taking a walk, let's say. Not today, they're afraid to take out his nose outside. He's in jail, basically. Right?
Yeah.
Then a guy who sees the king many times, he sees the king, he speaks about the king, he sees the palace every day. But the palace doesn't mean anything to him. That when he goes to see the king, he will describe you how the king looks. A guy who was never in the palace, never saw a palace in his life. When he describes, he first describes the palace. And the doors, they were made of gold. And the soldiers, and the this, and the this. He comes to see the king, he already forgot how the kings look like. You know, someone gets into details. That Ezekiel is the villager who saw God. Isaiah is the city boy who saw God. It goes a little deeper than that, as we're going to learn. Now we'll go to read a little bit from inside. Yeah, please.
Seraphim, what are those?
It's a name for angels. Saraf comes from the word lisrof, the burners. The fire is burning. Saraf comes from the word burning. That's lisrof in Hebrew. The word saraf in Hebrew means burners. Like there are fires.
But
They describe the angels like fire. As we're going to go to it in soon.
it has different names, right?
Cherubim was what I...
Cherubim is the chariot. cherubs.
That's different.
Different type of
It's
angels.
what
yeah.
also
okay.
angels.
Different,
Also
different
could be
categories of
angels.
angels.
Yeah,
yeah.
the alpha, yeah. We'll get to that. Yes.
It's in the prayers, you say Seraphim, Chayes, and Fanakot. There's 3 levels of angels.
Chaye, which are also angels.
Right?
How do you
Chayot
say it?
is also name of
Chayot.
angels.
Right.
And Oifanim is also names of angels. 3 levels. There is a 4th level, but we cannot get too far. Then you might end up like. But just as a side note, I read about Elisha ben Avuya, the guy who became an heretic. He had one disciple who stayed.
Rabbi Meir.
Yeah, he stayed. He continued to be his disciple. He didn't give up on his rabbi, basically. It's a whole story, and he told them, return to Judaism. He told them, I heard a voice from heaven who says, everybody can return beside me. Right? Then, before he died, he says he saw his rabbi crying, and he says, I think my rabbi did tshuva. Rabbi Meir didn't give up on him. So a verse alone, Toshev Neshadako, Adirtucha Nefesh, that as long as you're alive, you can make tshuva.
Also reincarnation.
Then they came to him, and they told him, there is a fire over your rabbi's grave. Yeah, it means, so to speak, that it's burning upstairs there. It's not good. So Rabbi Meir came, he took his towels, put over the fire, and he said like this. There is a verse in the book of Ruth. We're learning Ruth and Shavuot, right? Then Boaz said on Ruth, if the other guy who's supposed to marry you will marry you is good. And if not, I will put my wings over you, my talus, so to speak, over you, and I'll protect you. That Rabbi Meir used this word on God. He told God, if you protect this my Rebbe, good. If not, I will. And the fire stopped. That's a chassid. I mean, nobody wants to have a Rebbe like this, but he went with his Rebbe, so to speak, he went all the way to God. Said to God, you do it or I do it. Only Rabbi Meir can say it. In any case, now that we have a little bit of an introduction to the story of Ezekiel, we'll read a little bit from inside.
Now it was in the 13th year, in the 4th month, on the 5th day of the month, while I was among the captives on the river Chibar, that
Kvar. Kvar is in Hebrew. The Nahar Kvar is a part of the Chidekel river. Chidekel is one of the river, the Euphrates, like the Euphrates. It's one of this river. Then he's in the exile, right? I was among the captives. He was in exile. He was in Babylon.
Is this a river that
Now
came out of Eden?
Nahar Kvar is a part of the Garden of Eden.
It is, that's how I was wondering.
Yes, that the word Kvar in Hebrew also means that was already. Kvar halachti. I was already there. Kvar amarti. I already said it. Now Kvar means it was already said. God already spoke about this river, where? In the creation, in the beginning. Then that's one of the understandings of it.
Is that
I
river-
remember,
Is that river here today?
the river, the river is here. The question what his name, but I think there is a name. Kibur, there is a name, there is a name,
Similar?
there is a similar name to it until today. Kibur River, because it's a part of the big rivers of Iraq. I remember once the Rebbe spoke about it, that there is the Rebbe spoke in a Fabrengen, and he spoke, and then middle and said, some people think, Kvar, I already heard it. Oh, again the same story, we heard it. The Rebbe said it's a klippe. It's a bad side of learning Torah. You have to be excited about the Torah like every day it's new. And not to say, oh, I heard it already, I know it already.
That the heavens were opened and I saw visions of God. On the 5th day of the month, it was the 5th year of the exile of King
Yehoiachin.
Okay. God's word had come to Ezekiel ben Buzi, the priest, in the land of the Chaldeans on the river Chavar, and God's hand was upon him.
Isn't it 2 beginnings? He says, it was in the third day, the date, I saw God. Now it starts, in number 3, it starts again. And in number 2, on the 5th day of the month, of the 5th, you already just said it, no?
Day of the month. Yeah.
What do you mean? It's a
It's like you're
different day.
repeating it.
Oh, here, 5th and
It's
5th.
not a different
The
day, it's the
5th
same
and
day.
the 5th.
Day of the month, right.
5th year.
Here it says the 30th year, that is said the 50th. Both of them speak about the 5th of the month, right?
Mhm.
And now only in number 4, in number 3, it says, oh, God was speaking to Ezekiel. Why didn't say it at the beginning? It looks like Ezekiel had a revelation and he started to speak, Rashi says. And then in the middle, God, so to speak, steps and said, hey, by the way, I'll tell you guys who I'm talking about. It's Ezekiel. Like introducing the prophet came in right. He right start to prophesy before he says who he is. Before he introduced himself. Ezekiel was a Kohen in the land of the Chaldeans. You know there is Chaldeans? In America there are Chaldeans. There is a group who come from Iraq or called Chaldeans. In Detroit there is a lot of Chaldeans. And it was of him the hand of God upon him. Yeah. And God's hand was upon him. Okay.
I saw, and behold, a stormy wind, ruach, came from the north, a great cloud and flashing fire, and a glow, noga, round about, and from its midst a vision of the speaking silence, hashmal, in the midst of the fire.
You understand? I don't. The point is, he describes how he saw God.
Well, the word noga we've talked about.
Noga means it's a light.
It's a light inside.
There is light inside. You can see through.
The chashmal, what is that? That's like
Chashmal, you see
silence?
fire. Fire he speaks about. Wind
Wind, yeah.
and light in a cloud. Right? Then you see this whole thing. Why God? Why the question is why Ezekiel revealed this vision? God tells them something, a secret. He's a trusted servant. Why is he giving God the vision? Because Ezekiel came to the people and he told them, God is here with you in the diaspora. He said, no, God is in Israel. We are lost. It's over. He said, no, I saw God. No, he didn't see. He started to tell them what he saw. He had to tell them the details to prove that God is here. God is not only there.
Still
God
have access to God, anyway.
Yeah, that's what he wants. That's why this whole vision is to comfort the Jewish people. That God is, how the Talmud knows that wherever the Jewish people went, the Shekhinah went with them from this. That in the desert, in the Babylon, in exile, God speaks to Ezekiel. God is here too. God is not only in Israel. It's a comforting story, this whole story. Okay, now comes the interesting part, number 5.
From its midst was the form of 4 Haya angels, living creatures. This was their form. They had a human form. Each one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings.
Mm-hmm.
Their feet were straight, and the soles of their feet were like those of a calf's foot, and they shined like a vision of polished copper.
Okay, that we have 4, the chariot has 4 corners, if you want. Every one has 4 faces, right?
Mm-hmm.
East, west, north, south, right?
Yeah. And their feet is 1 foot, right? Their feet were straight. In Hebrew, veragleim, the first line, veragleim, their feet, regel yeshara, 1 straight foot. That's why we have the custom by the Amida to put our 2 foot together like angels, based on this, because the 1 foot. The language is the angels, so to speak, have 1 foot, and that means they have wings. They have 4 wings. Isaiah saw how many wings?
6 wings.
6 wings. Ezekiel saw 4 wings. Everyone said what he saw. And their feet were like those of a calf foot. Why calf? The golden calf. Reminds you about this. All the way from there. then these 4 feet, then soon he's going to explain how they look, the 4 faces that they had. Basically, it describes the chariot of God, not God himself, the chariot that God is on. What is the chariot? The world, the spiritual world, that the physical world is a reflection of the spiritual world. The creatures of the world are the chariot of God. What means a chariot? A chariot takes the person who sits in the chariot wherever he needs to go. The world takes God wherever God wants to come. The world is a chariot of God. Is a seat for God, is a place for God, is a vehicle for God's will. That's what it's all about. Human hands.
Human hands were under their wings on all 4 sides, and all 4 had faces and wings. Their wings were joined to each other, and they did not turn when they went. Each one moved in the direction of their faces as they went. The forms of their faces were the face of a man, with the face of a lion to the right of the 4, the face of an ox to the left of the 4, the face of an eagle, and the face of an eagle.
Okay, that we have here 4 faces. Man, the king of humanity, the crown of the world. There is the lion, the king of the beast. The ox, the king of the cattle, and the eagle, the king of the bird. The 4 highest levels. What does this mean? Every one of them represents another side how to serve God, if you want. The lion represents chesed, or love to God.
Right.
Why? Because he's on the right side. Right is chesed.
Okay.
The right, on the right side,
Yeah.
the face of the lion to the right. Right is chesed. More than that, Aryeh, lion in Hebrew, Aryeh, and the word Re'iyah is the same 4 letters. Re'iyah means to see God. When you see love, you look somebody in the eyes, you create love. That's what the lion represents the love of God. Even that in the physical world is not a kosher animal, it's because he's so high, so to speak, he falls so low. It's a whole thing in Kabbalah. But the bottom line is he represents love. Even though it's a little complicated. Aryeh is also the word ira. Ira means fear of God. The same word, the same 4 letters. But Aryeh is love and finished. Aryeh represents the strength of the lion. He loves the love of God. Love is much more stronger than fear. When you love somebody, it's much more, it's a huge motivator more than everything. Fear is also a motivator. You run very fast, but it's not for so long. The strongest love is much more of a powerful thing that can motivate people. That was the lion. The ox is on the left. He represents fear of God. And the eagle, there is many explanations. The eagle represents mercy. Why? There is a verse in the Bible, Kanesher Yair Kino Al Gozalav Yerachem. It's in the end of the Torah. In Parshas, in the end of the end of the Torah.
Carries us an eagle's wings?
Yeah, carrying us like the eagles. Yeah, where is it? Oh, it's written in Azino. Yeah.
Where the
In
eagle
Azino?
carries its babies on
What?
carries its babies on the wings.
Carries the babies on his leg. Yeah. It's right here on page 1027, number 11. He takes them under his wings.
Because he flies above all the other birds.
Number 11, read. Second line.
Like an eagle arousing its nest, hovering over its young. He spread his wings and took them, carrying them on his pinions. God alone guided them, and there was no alien power with
Okay,
him.
they describe God like an eagle. Also, it's written, I'll take you on, in the beginning,
Eagle's wings.
on eagle's wings. Where is it written? It's written in the,
Well, they went quicker, right? From one spot to
what?
another.
It's written,
It's
where is
fancy.
it? It's written in Parshas Yitro.
They went on-
Before he introduced them to the Ten Commandments, or after, אתם ראיסם כי מן השמיים דיברתי עמכם. I think it's in Nitro or it's in the other place. It's right here, yeah. On page 349, number 4. Go ahead.
You saw what I did in Egypt, carrying you on eagle's wings and
On eagle's
bringing you
wing.
to me.
Yeah, bring your work also to me. That God is represent, the eagle represents mercy. That we have Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, and then the man, who is representing, is a reflection of God, basically. This is as much as I understand about it, and there is much more to learn about it, but I cannot tell you what I don't know.
Well, those are the three main things.
Exactly. Some explain that the man is the Tiferes, is the mercy, and the eagle is Malchus, is a kingdom, the last, whatever. But that's the idea. Okay, we are in number 11, I think.
Their faces and wings were separated on top. For each one, two connected the individuals, and two covered their bodies.
Two connected and two covered the bodies.
Each individual moved in the direction of his face. They went to where the Ruach, spirit, was to go. They did not turn as they went. So in other words, it can only go straight forward, straight to the sides, or straight back. Why only the cardinal directions?
Basically, they cannot promote themselves. They cannot grow. That's the idea. An angel cannot become higher or lower. Here he describes, he calls the chaya. Chaya means animal. We describe angels like animals. What does this mean? Animals have a higher sensitivity than human being, right? The dog starts to bark much before you hear anything. Why we do not have this kind of sensitivity?
You go crazy.
Because you'll go crazy. Yes. Angels have an awareness of God that if I would have it, I would go crazy. If a human being would have it, he would go crazy. The story goes that some Hasidic Rebbe, a Chassid asked from his Rebbe, he wants to have the fear of God, awareness of God that an angel has. Told him, okay, I'll give you the blessing. He went crazy. He used to hide behind the bed, under the bed. The awareness of God was so strong that he went crazy. He came to his Rebbe, he said, beg him, take it away from me. That the angels have an awareness of God. When we say angels do not have free choice, right? What really it means? Not that they don't have free choice. They have free choice, but they don't have it. What do you mean? What happened on Mount Sinai? The Medrash says on Mount Sinai, God picked up the mountain and says, okay, you'll receive the Torah, good if not. First of all, there is no free choice, right? And it's fear. And then when we're all proud, we said, we will do. You better you do. You're looking up, he said, you do or not? Yeah, we'll do. What really happened there? They didn't have free choice. God didn't pick up any mountains. What happened was, it was such a revelation of God, they couldn't say no. You've been called to the Rebbe. The Rebbe asked you to do something. You're going to say no? Not only you don't say no because you're embarrassed to say no to him, he elevated you to such a place that you want to do it. Then you go down and you wake up, I will not be able to survive it. I can't. When the Jews were standing at Mount Sinai, God revealed himself to such a level, they didn't have free choice. What means they wanted to do it. They had a free choice, they could say no, but they didn't really have a free choice. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They were so high, they wanted to do it. God elevated them to such a level that they wanted to do the Torah and the mitzvahs. They were excited about it. Then when the inspiration was gone, I said, oh, what's with the meat? And what's with the doors? What's with this? And my back is hurting me. And they were standing at Mount Sinai, they didn't remember that they had a back pain. You know, when you're on the hill, when you're dancing at Simchas Torah, you're on a high, or you're on a, when Matisyahu comes and sings and everybody goes crazy. People don't even feel what they do to themselves. Then they walk outside and says, oh, my leg is hurting me. I was jumping like I'm Shugana. I lost my voice.
What does it mean that...
What happened there? That they didn't have free choice and he was screaming like I'm a Shugana. He had free choice. But he was elevated. That he didn't have what he really had. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The angel, not that the angels do not have free choice. Sure they have free choice. But they are so close to God that they want to do what God wants. That really, objectively, you can say they don't have free choice. Because when you put you in such a situation, I put you in a situation you couldn't say no. It's like when somebody starts to take drugs, the first time he has a choice. By the 20th time, he doesn't have a choice. He's addicted. Does he really not have a free choice? You can say he doesn't have free choice? No, but he doesn't. See, chocolate for me, it's very hard to say that I have free choice. Like, yeah, I have, but it's very hard.
I mean, I have to say, or ask that question, because they always talk about the souls, flying out of their bodies because of God's revelation. Is that related to what you just said?
The same thing, yeah.
Yeah.
They were like the two sons of Aaron who were so excited about God. They were somewhere else.
Yeah.
I guess the English expression "were swept up in the moment" kind of would be
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Then the angels, what means the angels don't have a free choice? Officially, they have free choice. But you stand there and we'll see you if you say no. Not only because you're embarrassed to say, you're there. You want to say yes. You die to say yes.
Why is it important that the angels have free choice?
Because God gives free choice. Because if not, then it's not an accomplishment. If not,
They're just a messenger. The angels are just a messenger.
But according to Maimonides, they are still their own creatures, their own spiritual identities. Then they have free choice. But they can't say no, basically. Who really has free choice? Therefore, the angels are compared to animals. Animals, they don't have the seichel to have free. It's not that they don't have free choice. If you give him with a stick, he will never make another choice. And so I'm saying, but he doesn't really. Obviously, animals do not have really free choice. They don't have the wisdom to understand it. But angels on this side that are compared to animals. They have this high level of sensitivity that humans don't have because humans are normal. And if to have free choice, if you have this level of sensitivity, you don't really have free choice. You have this awareness of God, you don't have free choice. God wants you to not have this awareness of God and make a choice. Angels are not there. And that's not the job of the angels, to make choices. The real choice is made by human beings.
So if you have a purpose, do you have free choice?
Yes, you cannot do it, like we all. Every day, don't do what is supposed. Number 13. I think you're number 13, right? What do you know? Yeah.
The form of the chaya.
Chaya means animal.
Angels
you
had
see?
the appearance of burning coals of fire. Walking between the chaya angels was a vision of torches and a glow, noga, of fire, and from the fire went forth sparks. The chaya angels ran and returned like a vision of lightning. Then I gazed at the chaya.
They run and return, ratzo v'shov. The angels go back and forth, ratzo v'shov. Where we see that angel go back and forth?
Jacob's ladder.
Very good. Ratzoi v'shov, this is what an angel is, and that's what we are. What means Ratzoi v'shov? Ratzoi v'shov became a concept in Kabbalah and Chassidus. God wants you in one place. I want to be, I love God, but you have to go back down to go to work. On Yom Kippur, you're feeling like, the Motzi Yom Kippur, go eat. Ratzo v'shov, like the art is going, squeezing and going open, right? It's going up, backing up and down, going here and going there, up and down constantly. That's the struggle of human beings. That God wants from them to be like the angels. To want to be with God, to actually be here. That if you don't want to be with God, it's not good enough. You lost it. If you want to be with God like the two sons of Aaron, and die there, you lost it again. That I want you to be in one place and want to be in a different place. Even in the morning, prayers. What's prayers? To be with God. After the prayers, go to work. Go up and go down. It's like almost going to 2 floors. Putting on this suit, then take off the suit. You go out to one side of the wall, then you go back to the other side of the wall. And you constant going back and forth. That's Rotze Veshot. It became a concept in Judaism. Running one way and then running the other way. Go ahead. Number 15, I think. Then
I gazed at the Chaya angels, and behold, there was a single Ophan angel, wheel on the earth near the Chaya angels. One was on each of its 4 faces. The appearance of the Ophan angels and their actions was like a vision of topaz. All 4 had a single form, and their appearance and actions were as if there was an Ophan angel within an Ophan angel.
a wheel within a wheel. If one wheel goes this way, the other wheel goes the other direction. Confusing, right?
So again, the wheels are doing kind of what the angels are. The wheels can go in any of the 4 directions.
In different directions.
Yeah.
One angel goes here, the other.
Yeah, one wheel goes this way, one wheel goes
Exactly.
this way.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Dr. Kosov?
They moved on their 4 sides as they went. They did not turn as they went. They had high backs and were filled with fear. The backs of all 4 were filled with eyes. When the Chaya angels moved, the Ophan angels went near them. When the Chaya angels rose up from the earth, the Ophan angels were also lifted.
Basically, they were called connected. They go up, they go up. They go down, it's all connected.
Where the Ruach spirit had to go, there the Ruach spirit of the Chaya angels was in the Ophan angels. When one went, so went the other. When one stood, so stood the other. When they were lifted from the earth, the Ophan angels were lifted beside them, for the Ruach spirit of the Chaya angels was in the Ophan.
Okay. Let's stop right here. In number 20, we say, when the Ruach spirit had to go, there the Ruach spirit of the Chaya angel was in the Ophan angel. It means to say, wherever they went, B'nose Achayes, Inose Ifanim. When the Chayes went up, the Ophan went up. Once there is a story about the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. He was in a state of, not say depression, but it was a hard time. He was in Poland. It was a time that things were very hard. And he said he had a vision from his father, like a night. He said he wasn't sleeping, it was a vision. And he quoted him this line, so to speak, if you will elevate yourself, everybody around you will elevate yourself. And we see it in a house. If somebody walks into the house in a good mood, he puts everybody in a good mood. If he puts them in a bad mood, he creates an all bad mood around them. Then the Chayo is the higher level of angels lift up everybody. The Ophanim is more the lower level of angels, more the physical world, if you want. The world is dependent on me, not I'm dependent on the world. I cannot say, oh, this event put me in a bad mood. I decide if you're in a bad mood or in a good mood. And I can change the world around me. Don't allow the world control your mood, you control the world mood. And that's what he means here. The Chayos, they affected everything around them. Number 21. One went, so are we? Are we on 22?
Yeah.
1 second. Because the Ruach, okay, go ahead. Number 22.
The form above the heads of the Chaya angel was that of a firmament, looking like a fearsome ice spread out over their heads.
Well, first we spoke about fire, right? Now we spoke about ice, water. What's going on here? Is the angels of fire or water?
Both.
When we say fire and water, what do we mean? There is no physical fire, there's no physical water. Not water. Ice! Fire and ice. No, you say the song, Oseh Shalom Bimromav, we Oseh Shalom Bimromav. What does this mean? The one who makes peace in the above should make peace upon us. What means make peace in the above? Angels are a combination of fire and water. What does this mean? They are the impossible. Fire and water cannot be together. Or the fire evaporates the water, or the water puts out the fire. And you want to say the opposite. You say they are like fire and water. Cannot be together. The angels are the impossible. That's what he wants to say. And God can bring the impossible, can make the impossible. We ask from God who makes the impossible to make the impossible in this world and make peace between people. Trump thinks he can make peace in the Middle East. He can make the impossible. God can make the impossible. Nobody else. And that's the idea of peace. That's what the idea. It brings the example of the angels that they are fire and water together. That represents the idea. It's something that's above logic, something you cannot even understand altogether.
Like the plague, same thing. The fire and ice and the plague.
You're right.
Yeah.
Number 23.
Under the firmament, their wings were straight out, one toward another, for each individual two covered them, and for each individual two covered their bodies. Then I heard the sound of their wings.
Why to cover them? They didn't want to look at God. Go ahead.
Then I heard the sound of their wings, like the sound of many waters, like the voice of the Almighty.
Now here is a change here. Before Ezekiel speaks about what he saw, now he speaks what he hears. He started to see things. He was seeing things. As it's getting higher, he doesn't see anymore. He hears. What's the difference? Seeing is like more for sure. Hearing is already a higher level. I cannot see. I can only hear. Go ahead.
The sound of their tumult was like the sound of an armed
Like.
camp.
Now you see the word like constantly. Like this, like this, like this. You cannot even describe it. Because it's so high, you cannot even describe it.
When they stood still, they let down their wings. There was a sound from the firmament which is above their heads. When they stood still, they let down their wings. Almost like you describe it like a helicopter, I guess in a sense. Above the firmament.
You want to continue?
Oh, go ahead.
Above the firmament that was over their heads, like a vision of a sapphire, was the form of a throne, and over the form of the throne there was a form like a vision of a man on it from above.
Like.
But now he says
You only
vision. Now he
hear-
says vision though, instead of he heard.
No, it says it's
This is
like.
all part of a vision.
He didn't
Like-
say it.
oh,
He
like
didn't
a
say-
vision.
Like a vision. Like things. Like a man. So like.
Well, he. How would he say like a vision if he didn't see something?
Obviously.
Now, when he describes a throne, is that the throne of the ark above the ark now being transported, basically?
Oh, the whole idea is that God wants to say that everything that's in the heavenly world is in the physical world. That the physical world is a reflection of the spiritual world. And our job is to make connect it, to elevate this physical world. That's our job. Okay, continue. We are in number 27.
I saw a vision of the speaking silence, Hashmal, like a vision of fire, as a house for it round about, from the vision of his thighs and above, from the vision of his thighs and below. I saw a vision like fire, with a glow, Noga, around it, like a vision of the rainbow in the clouds on a rainy day, so was the vision of the glow around. This was the vision of God's glory. I saw it. I fell on my face. Then I heard a voice speak.
Okay, before this, you see, before he said, it was like a vision of a man. There is Odom Shelamaylo. There is the man who is above the chair, so to speak. We are a reflection. What means we are in the image of God? We are like a reflection of God. That not that God is a man physically, but from our physical body we can understand God. The physical world is a reflection of the spiritual world. Whatever happens here, why parents move to their children? Because the Shekhinah goes with the Jews go. Why parents forgive the children? Because God forgives the Jewish people. Why children don't care for the parents? Because we don't care for God. אז I get this. Then everything in the physical world is a reflection of the spiritual world. I mentioned it a few times. The Rebbe once said, and God said no, and then the Rebbe stopped and said, how we know that God said no? Because humans say no. Understand? Then when you look on this physical world as a reflection of the spiritual world, you don't get upset. I'll tell you what I mean with it. I mean, this will just finish, but just a small note. Feminism. People say, oh, what is happening to the world? Feminism. The Rebbe looked at it. If there is feminism, obviously there is a spiritual side to it. The spiritual side is that when time for Mashiach comes, women will be higher than men. That you cannot look at the world as a contradiction to God. It must be, it's a reflection of God, not a contradiction of God. That instead of sitting and whining, oy vey, where the world is coming today, say, obviously, God wants from us something different, something more, something deeper. Let's look for, put on a pair of glasses and look at everything that happens in the world as a reflection of the spiritual world. Your whole life will change. You look at everything differently. The leaders, obviously, there's a spiritual side to such leaders.
There's
Spiritual
a lot of bad stuff going on.
Spiritual, yeah. There is the bad side, must be the good side. Everything is a reflection of a reflection of a reflection. And now we're coming to the punchline. What he heard.
Then the Spirit lifted me up, and I heard behind me the sound of a great rushing, saying, Blessed be the glory of God from his place.
Baruch kvod Hashem imkomo. When we say it?
One too far at the end.
Only Yom Kippur.
7 times. Okay.
You say, what do you say? Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. What do you say after Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh?
Shem Kavod.
Baruch
Malchuso.
Ah?
Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuso.
No.
No.
Kadosh, 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 Shem Tzvaot, Lo Chalat Kodo.
Saloh's in there, right?
Yeah. What do you say? We say, Baruch kvod Hashem imkomo. Here is what's going on. In the prophecy of Isaiah, he said, Kadosh, Kadosh Hashem, Tzvaot, Lo Cholatz Kodo, is all, the world is full of his glory. Here he says, the honor of God is in his place, right? Blessed is by the glory of God from his place. Isaiah looked on the whole world is the glory, full of the glory of God. Isaiah had an awareness that everything is in the glory of God. Ezekiel is not the city boy, he's the villager. He says, God is somewhere there, yeah, from his place. He comes from bottom up, and Isaiah comes from above down. Isaiah says the whole world is the glory of God. Everywhere you look, it's God. Ezekiel doesn't say it. Ezekiel says, God is there. Yeah, in his place, not everywhere. Our job is to take from Ezekiel's level to Isaiah's level. From the idea that God's in his place, to make God's place everywhere. Meloch ol haaretz kodo. The whole world is full of the glory of God. To see in everything God. That's the job that we're supposed to do.
Hamakom, his place, could be everywhere, though.
I
What
know.
it says, from his place. Is there translated?
His place.
From his place.